It's working.
Well, you're good here, and I'm thinking, yes, it'd be okay. Rich, why don't you into the signatures? We need to get a couple of here.
Rectangles with snaps.
We know when you're in.
See, they're kind of
If you want to try that again.
wider and longer. So you can start with a as opposed to hyper sharps, which are long and
Yeah, okay.
Tiger shark could start like that.
They're getting the message right.
There, tiger shark, when you look at them from the side. They remind me of halfbacks compared to running backs. Isn't that right? That's one of my favorite things ever. Orcas. I like orcas. And I like dolphins, especially bottlenose. They're so friendly. We have this. There's dolphins.
Okay, got a good one here.
Okay.
I'm still saying. Try to be as fresh as you can. One.
Cool. I know, and they're also just like the ugliest thing ever.
So you on National Beach? Sit over here for a minute. You have to see what it do.
Big, big families. See how ugly they are? They're just like scary. They're like somebody's
It's not on the city website. Not even on the agenda.
They are apparently a part of Base Life One.
Yes, they're very carpet-based like one, but they're just not, they're not true vertebrates, they're not true fish. They're like proto.
Testing, testing. Yeah, but are you getting on your YouTube?
So there's a delay, there's a delay though.
Yeah, I told him that because like, he hadn't walked over here already, and on YouTube it was just not showing him, you know. Okay, so it gotta be something going on.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Benton Harbor Downtown Development Authority to order. It's 11:56, and I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the.
We have a motion. Is there support?
I support.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Citizen comments. Mr. Reed, would you like to regale us with some comments?
Very briefly, I would like to mention that the Michigan Planning Association has given Benton Harbor the Daniel Burnham Award for the service that we performed for the community, the Planning Commission, the City Commission, and the city staff with the creation of Benton Harbor's best Benton Harbor plan. Our consultant, McKenna & Associates, submitted the plan for consideration, and the city of Benton Harbor received it for this year. So that's a very important thing because we have quite a few commissioners, people who are getting ready to become commissioners, and those who are sitting need to be aware that this was a community collaboration along with the Planning Commission and the city staff, and it's a very important thing. I want to let you all know that that's what I wanted to make a comment about today. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations on your work. All right. Having no other citizens waiting for an opportunity, just a quick report on membership and appointments. We've not yet heard about appointment of Jasmine Clausen for the DDA board, but she's applied and she's interested in serving. So as soon as we can
What
get
was
that
it?
through.
What was that name again?
Jasmine Clausen, and her first name is spelled Jasmin. She has a marketing firm here in Benton Harbor, and she will be bringing us her expertise along with her connection to the business community, and I think that works well for both of us, or all of us. So hopefully we'll hear soon about an appointment for her. Moving on, we have a special presentation today. We have J. Allen Heiss and Professor Diane Henschel and Angelique, whose last name I've forgotten, I'm sorry, here with us to discuss a new initiative that's taking place here in the city. Would you like to come forward and sit at the table, please? That will stop momentarily.
Good afternoon. It is noon. Oh.
Green light is on.
Green light is on.
I don't hear it, the tap.
Okay.
Keep it close to you.
Okay.
Just a suggestion.
Sounds good. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for seeing us today. My name is Jay Heisey. I am with the Michigan Sustainable Business Forum. Some of you may know Dan Schoonmaker. He is unable to be here today, but I am here in his stead. We are working with the DDA and Rich on we're kind of at Rich's behest and with the Indiana University with Dr. Henschel, putting together a materials for climate resiliency specifically for homeowners, apartment dwellers, and small businesses. And so I believe that Dr. Henschel has some materials that she would like to go over, and just kind of updating you on what we're doing today.
Hi. Okay, let's get this figured out. Hi. Oh, can I bend it? There we go. This is the getting used to a new mic. Hi, so I'm Diane Henschel. I'm at Indiana University, and I've been working on a project on enhancing climate and especially flooding resilience for the past 6 years or so now, and we've gotten to the point where we've developed some materials that we would like to share, but most of all, we're trying to work with Benton Harbor as one of the communities, mostly because we met Rich. Talking with Rich and things started working out from there. Okay, so the situation is that when severe storms happen and flooding may or may not occur, and then flooding does occur, people are left on their own pretty much from the time of the warning that flooding may occur through the storm, through the flood, and it's a minimum of hours, often days, and it's up to weeks before any help can get to people. And this is both people in their homes and small businesses and large businesses. And so we started to try to look at this resilience gap, this period of time when people are kind of stuck on their own. And in the end, after doing some surveying and talking to people and trying to figure out what there is that's available, there really isn't that much information available. So we developed a set of guidance to help people think through their own situation. Currently, it was originally based on living in housing, and then we know that we are trying to expand it now to people living in apartments who have different situations, and even in apartments, people who are living in, for example, basement apartments are in a different situation than people living in first floors, who are different than people who are living in higher levels where they're a little safer from the immediate flood zone. And especially different is going to be working with small businesses where, depending on the kind of business, the considerations for how to make yourself resilient to flooding so that you minimize the damage and make sure everybody stays safe until help can get to you can be much more varied depending on the kind of business it is and what their resources are. So we've developed a set of tools, at least for the starting point, and then we're trying to get input on how we might change the initial guidance for apartment dwellers, as we said, and then for small businesses. This is the original set. We started with just a set of guidance, and truly it goes through helping you think through what we consider to be personal critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure is what helps society function. Personal critical infrastructure to us is what helps you function as a person or as a family or as a neighborhood. And we broke it down to the most critical of issues that might be affected by flooding, so power, and then the issues that are affected by power, lighting, heating, cooling, transportation, communications of any sort, food, water, and pretty much personal care. So, and personal care is going to vary depending on whether you have medication, if you're somebody with a disability, if you're somebody who's got to deal with people with mobility problems or little kids who have mobility problems on their own or mobility problems in the other way because you have to corral them or something. And it takes you through and helps you think through what can go wrong if there's going to be a flood or there's a serious storm, what kind of vulnerabilities are associated with the different kinds of critical infrastructure, what do you do to prepare when there's a storm that's imminent, how do you protect your home, how do you protect yourselves, and then precautionary information that associates the type of life-concerning problems that could be associated with floods and that kind of critical infrastructure. So for power, of course, electrocution is always the issue, as an example. So we have a set of guidance, and we're starting to try to get it out to people. So this is one way to get people to be aware that this guidance exists. And then because we know it's hard to go through guidance and think through these issues and try to think about what you could do to adapt, we then developed a set of tools that people could use, and there's both digital versions of it. There's a brainstorming tool that's on Miro, which is a brainstorming interface that's free, so people can get onto it and then use it. And then whatever they do, they are setting up their own account, and the information saves to their own account and doesn't come back to us. It's all you do is essentially copy our template and then work with it. Alternatively, digitally, we have an Excel version of it, and then we've been making a workbook out of the Excel, so people who don't have access to computers or don't want to be working on computers can be using this in a hard copy, kind of a workbooky format. And let's see, over the next few months, we're also going to be trying to do focus groups. So we're inviting people, if they want to participate in focus groups, to get introduced to the tools, get copies of them, and then be able to take them home and work with them. And then we'll be there as a resource if people have questions. And I'm not sure what else I should say at this point, but, well, I was just wondering if Angelina had anything she wanted to say. That's what I was looking at Angelina for.
I have nothing to add at this time. I think you've covered the project pretty consistently.
Okay, so if anybody's got any questions, I would love to answer them. And otherwise, if people have questions for me who are online, you could contact the Benton Harbor Downtown Development Authority, or I'm at dhenshel@gmail.com. And I know I'm sticking myself out there because this is YouTube, but if anybody needs to reach me, that's a way to do it. And questions?
Would you repeat that, please, your email address?
Excuse me?
How you contact you?
Yeah, dhenshel@gmail.com.
If I might, I'm going to be extremely interested in what you are working on there. First off, I would say from the viewpoint of the city, we are perhaps erroneously under the impression that our flood zones are basically limited to the lower end along Riverview Drive, the area where Ship Canal, Paw Paw River, Ox Creek, and so forth, because the majority of the residential area is elevated up on the higher hillside. So I'm going to really be very interested in any information you have that indicates, like you said, places where they're having problems because of basements or other flooding that probably will be somewhat associated with those. I say that because we have a high water grant that we have brought in a firm from Ann Arbor that's looking at various natural ways to reduce, because a big part of our flooding problem isn't the normal flooding above ground. It's high water table that comes up through the ground, especially down here in the area along Riverview Drive and again these canals and so forth. But we also have just started, we're probably about 30 days into a comment period from FEMA on the latest flood maps that I want to try to get any of this information incorporated into while we have time. Because traditionally what happens with communities like Benton Harbor, when they come through and they do their flyovers and they see a few cattails and whatnot and they expand the map and so forth, they post it, but nobody in a community like this is looking at these maps on the newspaper, don't even bother to look at the newspaper. And so as a consequence, it just automatically gets thrown into as being floodplain and that kind of stuff that comes along later and gives us a real headache dealing with our parks and other things like that that don't belong in a floodplain. So we want to work closely with you on this.
Just trying to make sure I'm back onto the mic again. So two comments about floodplains. Number one, the problem with FEMA maps, and it's great that they're updating it for the new precipitation levels and for what changes have been occurring, but FEMA does all of their flooding maps based on historical flood data. And the flood data is based on somebody going out and actually measuring things during a flood and then incorporating the new data. So it's great that they're updating it, but the problem is that the climate is continuing to change and the FEMA maps do not predict what's happening into the future. We have one of the other parts of this project was developing a database that incorporates critical infrastructure of different kinds, including the roads, with a flood map that's based on what is usually called bathtub flooding. So it takes into account rain and what's already there, so pluvial and fluvial waters, and therefore the potential for pluvial and fluvial flooding. And the rain is based on the models that are predicted by in some of the IPCC models. So they are at least taking into account what is expected to be happening with changes in precipitation into the future. And then it puts it all together into as if this is a kind of a topological map, and then the water just starts filling it up from the bottom, so it just adds all the water together and fills it up. And so the floodplain is much more realistically predictive of what could be happening into the future, where areas that haven't been flooding could be flooding because of the additional and more intense precipitation that seems to be happening already and is predicted to continue happening into the future. One of the things we're working on from this database that we've got is right now it's an ArcGIS database. It's, accessible, and we can print out static maps for it. And what we're trying to do is design a interface for the web for it to allow people to go in and bring up an area around a specific point, say their home or their business, and map out both the streets, the predicted flood levels, and by the way, the flood model comes from a company called Fathom Global, which has now been bought out, but and they've actually mapped, as far as I know, most of the first world, and they're starting in on like South America, and I don't know if they've gotten to Africa yet, but they've definitely started in on Asia on their mapping. So they started with Europe, and then they came to the United States and North America, and then they've been expanding from there. And they're one of the better kind of predictive models that's out there. If you've ever heard of First Street Foundation, they use the same model. They use the same Fathom Global model as we're using. And so so the Fathom Global model, Fathom Global, Fathom, another word, global, Global, they're out of England. And in this country, First Street Foundation, which is, if you've never seen it, I strongly recommend anybody who's worried about flooding to go to First Street Foundation, look at their flood risk maps. They also have a fire risk, and they have several other various kinds of climate-related risk maps. They're really phenomenal, but for flooding, they use the Fathom Global model. And for them, you put in a street address, and they give you the risk profile for that street address. It's excellent. And it's free if you're just going for a single street address. Their business comes from selling this to like real estate firms. That's where their business model came from as they were developing all their tools. I like them a lot. They're wonderful people.
Well, what you're describing in terms of how they do it, and I am well aware that with climate change and so forth, some of these things are changing. But where the conflict arises with a city government like ours, just because the water is going to increase in a place, and if it might actually come all the way up to City Hall, does not mean we're really willing to give away City Hall and not allow other buildings to be built because it's going to flood. Out west, they've done things to the big concrete canals and stuff to carry the water away and that kind of thing. And here, it just comes up and they just increase more and more. And like we've got a situation right now where a big portion of Hall Park down here is getting classified as floodplain, and I think they ought to do something about it. Dig the ditch deeper, build some retaining walls, or do whatever they have to do if they know it's going to just keep increasing. we don't intend to suddenly call instead of it being Hall Park, Hall flood area. You know, we still need it, and we've got limited land to do it on.
There's other things that could be done at the planning level in terms of flooding, like over time, as you change out concrete or pavement, you could add some more permeable pavement so that it allows at least some more drainage so that minimizes or reduces flooding risk and allows for more absorption in the areas that have been built up already. But what our particular project is for is really for the for the personal, for the home, for the family, for the neighborhood, for the small business to be taking care of themselves and minimize their risk. So it's not at the planning level, though working with planners, or if there's something that a neighborhood needs, for example, they see that they need to dig out a ditch so they have a decent some drainage ditch in their neighborhood, or if it means working with developers to make sure the developers have proper drainage, that's one thing. But in the end, I think individual homeowners or individual residents are going to need to figure out for themselves, if something happens, what do I do and how do I prevent the worst of it from happening? And that's where this project is aimed at, that kind of personal self-help or small business self-help. So to finish off what we're doing, in terms of what we're doing with the database, what we want to be doing is with a web interface on our database, allowing people to plan evacuation routes. So if you know what the possibilities are for flooding from the predictive flooding model, and you have the streets and you can identify specific critical infrastructure, like do I know where a shelter is? Do I know where the schools are that I have to go pick up my kids? Then you could plan from where you are to where you have to go and still do it safely en route around the areas where you expect to be flooding. So that's coming this fall. But at the moment, what we have is the guidance that we're helping and hoping people would want to start looking at and use.
I have a question. Sounds
Yeah.
like your source database is global. That's a big project. Locally, we have Lake Michigan, SAISH, and wind and river backups, that sort of thing. That's really hard to predict and plan on, but I guess expecting short-term, quick rises would be something to consider for
So I do know the University of Michigan and University of Wisconsin, I have Benton Harbor as one of their target areas that they're doing modeling for, and they are explicitly taking into account the SAISHs and how the SAISHs will contribute to that, like overflow flooding that contributes as well. It's not just the water table coming up, it's not just the rain coming down, but you also have that bathtub effect that also has to be addressed in the Great Lakes. And they are doing their midway into their model. They did present at the Great Lakes meetings last month. So they're getting there. But that's not what we're doing. But that work is great. And I fully support that team, and I think what their work is really good. And I really appreciate the modeling that they're doing.
I have a question about First Street Foundation and their use. Is that database also used by insurance companies?
Yes.
To plot risks?
Yes. It is that's where they get their money from, is real estate and insurance, to try to figure out what they're going to charge. And I suspect that's part of where the changes in like cost of insurance for wildfire and flood has come from, because First Street has made this information publicly available, or at a cost to businesses for large numbers of lookups. Yeah, but they're really good, and you can look up your home or look up where you work. It either feels good or it doesn't feel good depending on your situation.
I think it's really important to think about the idea that certain areas may be off limits during flood, even if your own area is fine. And for you to be able to plan a route to get wherever you need to get whatever it is you need to have done. So I think I see a number of good uses, whether people like the news or not.
Yeah, one of the interesting points that came out of the survey we did like 5, 6 years ago was that in the Great Lakes along the coastal regions, there are a good percentage, like something like 20% or 15 to 20% of the people that said that they had minimal numbers of routes to get out from their homes. So they had a home that was on the coast, and if you were a coastal person, you had a reasonable chance of only having one road out. And in that kind of a situation, if you know that you're going to be at risk of flooding, you might want to invest in an expensive kayak and put it by the side of your house so you could get out if you need to. I mean, so that's the kind of thoughts that we were considering is based on that survey, realizing that there are a fair number of people that are going to be stuck or will have problems getting out or may have problems getting their whole family out or get to safety. So, yeah, thanks, Rich.
I can see a use for public safety for this as well, for them to look at where those risk areas are in order for them to be prepared should something happen. They'll know how to get in and out and how to direct other people. So I'm glad to know where the information can be found. Thank you.
Just one more thing. You mentioned permeability and all that. We can take action locally by maybe publishing a topographic map so that we could understand escape routes without your work, but just be aware the more permeability, any hard surface is going to accumulate or contribute to runoff, which results in quick changes that aren't predictable. And then planting trees and doing all the things that help the earth absorb are all good things that we can do today.
Rich has asked for, and we have promised, though my student's still trying to get his PhD finished, a map of around the Benton Harbor area that includes the roads and the flood predictions so that you guys have that available. It will be static at that point, but at least it's something that you can work with for planning. So we can get you a series of maps for that area. Yeah.
And then would you like to talk about focus groups?
Yeah, so actually, do you want to talk about the focus groups because you're doing the planning for them? Yeah, okay.
So one of the elements of this is making sure that we have adequate community input and making sure that everybody is represented and everybody is, everybody's knowing what is going on and making sure that the materials and the guidance can be as effective as possible. And so Dr. Henschel is working on talking to community stakeholders and getting together some focus groups, if possible, to give input on it. And then we're also going to be putting together a few community events in the area as they show up. And so we'll be around for the next couple months or so. Throughout August specifically, we'll be putting together some various events, and we'll keep you all updated.
I'd like to ask that there be coordination in this process between what you're doing and our planning commission so that if it conflicts with anything that we've already developed in terms of our comprehensive plans and our ordinance revisions and so forth, that we know it. We have a community here where sometimes you get certain individuals who want to do things different with information than what's meant to be done. So I want it to be tied in where it belongs.
So at the moment, we've been working with the Michigan Sustainable Business Forum for doing the planning right now and reaching out and contacting people and groups that want to participate or help us. We've got 2 trips planned for on-site focus groups in the beginning of August. I think it's the 3rd through the 5th of August, and then again the 15th through 18th of August. And we are also going to be running online focus groups, so if people want to be sent the tools and be introduced to the tools through a focus group online, that is not limited to anybody in any location, so anybody who's listening on YouTube can actually contact us about that. And so, and the point of the focus groups is to introduce we'll talk about the situation, introduce the tools, get a little bit of discussion so people can help each other brainstorming, and then get people started thinking about adaptations that they could do. And then that will get them feeling like they are empowered, we hope, to go back and start working on their own their home, their apartment, their small business, to start thinking through the whole process and take the time to do what little or what large things they can. There's also going to be differences in terms of some things are going to be easy to do, some things are going to be low cost to do, other things may take more money and would be something you might put out for when I can, I'd like to do it, but otherwise that's in the future, but I'm going to do my low cost or easy to do things right now that I can do quickly, put aside. I know FEMA wants everybody to have a go bag if you're in a floodplain. Well, in my opinion, it's a good idea to have mapped out how do you get out from your house or how do you go out from your business. If you're anywhere near where there's going to be flooding, you want to think about how do I get away? Where's the flooding going to be? How do I leave so that I don't get caught in the flood? And I think that's as important or more important than a go bag because it's kind of what's going to save your life if you get caught in the flood.
Alex, I have a question. Would it be helpful to have them come, when they come back, to one of the commission's committees?
I'm thinking that it would. I think that would be probably very helpful. You're working with Dan Schoonmaker, right? Okay, good. He talked to me about it yesterday.
Just as a point, we're also planning to come back next year, and if we really need to, I mean, we live 4 hours away. It's not that far away. So we could always come back up and do it another time too. But we're starting with the summer when school's not in session.
Thank you. Any other questions? No?
Thank you very much. I'll really be interested to find if we've got areas like that. Are you looking at the township also as well as the city?
I think Rich asked us to do the whole of Berrien County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our meeting and agenda here, just in time. The next thing on the agenda is the treasurer's report.
Good afternoon, everyone. The treasure balance as of today, July the 16th, in our treasurer we have $2,532.79. Invoice was made out on Monday for Whitman. One of the invoices that we had for $7,500. That's our financial report.
So let's skip on to communications. Any news you'd like to share on communications? Thank you.
We have not met recently, so no update. So yeah, we still need to pull together our next chance to meet and see what we can do on the Benton Harbor Now website, kind of updates for our kind of recent projects.
Okay, thank you. I wonder too if we can't somehow link to whatever they've got that we want people to have access to. Would we be able to link the Michigan Sustainable Business Forum to our website, so if people wanted to take a look at stuff, that we could direct them there.
Yeah, you can do that, and we can pass them we can take care of it, we'll pass them to Beverage.
Great. Thank you.
And we also have Nick in the back that handles
Yes.
our Facebook page to get stuff out on an ongoing basis to people and me. We can do that too.
Okay. So
Richard, are we able to have our Facebook page like active? Because we wanted to do some information for our holiday lights with the businesses and things. So are we updated? I mean, John, are we able to update that
I think
like quickly?
I'm doing Facebook. He's doing the website. They're doing
Yeah,
the
but
website.
I thought we talked about our website page. Did we advertise anything?
No, so it's the website that we would be needing to
Update.
update.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then perhaps put a link on, and then if we get through the agenda, we'll get to that part.
Okay, good.
Okay. So, quick news about the Welcome Center and where we are with things. Children's Art Fair is coming up on the 19th, Saturday. We have new internet service set up with T-Mobile. It's free at the moment. It's $70 a month that we will be needing to pay. There is, we hope, some help with that expense, but to actually be able to pay this, I'd like someone please to make a motion to not only agree to the $70 a month for T-Mobile.
Can you add a little more detail there? It's a new setup, and
It's a new wireless service for internet. It's available at the Welcome Center.
what is the reach, or have you done any?
The building. We're not trying to. In order to do a public network, we would need to double our expense almost per month, which is still doable. We do have a what do they call it? Access point that is separate from the modem. So we have two places where the signal is going out. So if you're out on the deck or you're in the area, you would be able to be outdoors, within probably 100 feet of the Welcome Center and still get a signal. But we're not going to do a public network right now. So this would be for board members or volunteers who are working on our projects.
I make a motion to begin the process of having a access point serving the DDA and the Welcome Center.
I second.
We have a motion. Any more comments or questions? Okay. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Right.
I
Motion
would like-
carries. Go ahead. Oh. So quarterly bill, the quarterly rent had to be paid on July 1st, but we'd like a motion, please, to pay the rent and the electric bill.
I will make a motion to pay our quarterly rent as well as the electric bill for the Welcome Center.
A motion from Deidre Fields,
I'll second.
support from Richard Rabbers. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. Motion carries. And let's see. Alex just left. We were interested in setting up dates.
He can probably let him know, because he was just waiting. I'll go out.
Okay. go on to the next things while we're waiting. We want to set up a special meeting with community stakeholders and business owners to go over some of the city ordinances that affect people in the downtown district. It's open to anyone, but specifically we want to focus on answering questions, so we would have staff people present from the city so people can ask their questions about things like snow removal, parking ordinances, how they might affect their properties, who to contact for the various services that need to be accessed by the people in the downtown district. So we discussed this at our last meeting, and we were going to get a date from City Manager Alex Little, but we have not yet. So hopefully we'll have that before we leave today. Design. I just like to thank whoever it was who planted the park planters around the Mitchell City Center Park. They're really looking very good. And I think it was a great thing. They just didn't leave a note. So we can enjoy them.
Yeah, those are planters along 6th and Wall Street on the south and east side of the park, which are nicely done. There are a few other plants on Main Street that were done by a group that's a high school alumni. One of the spokespersons was Iris Goodry? All right, Gidry. And she has partners in that, and she's the planters around Colfax and Maine. There's a couple in front of the Vincent. And I think that's it. They may have plans for additional. They've arranged for watering of those plants by Corwell, the ones that are in that area, and somebody at Vincent, I don't know who, and then maybe a couple of their volunteers are picking up the gaps there. So that was great.
So, moving on, you want to... Since the city manager's not here, he won't be giving his update. Planning Commission, the zoning ordinance passed. Earlier, we had a presentation from Mr. Reed. I failed to remember if we were online at the time. I'm not sure that we were. So would you like to? Okay.
One thing I did want to mention is the fact that a large number of our citizens don't know how to use the zoning ordinance. And it has been suggested that we do a short YouTube video that we could post on the website showing them how to utilize it. And they don't understand that there's a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities for them if they understand some of the suggestions that could be resolved by understanding how to use the zoning ordinance. So that was one of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention. The Michigan Planning Association has given Benton Harbor, the city, and the Burnham Award for 1925. This is for our planning excellence, the work that we've done with the community, the Planning Commission, the City Commission, and the city staff. And this was for the creation of the best Benton Harbor plan. That's with our consultant, McKenna Associates. So I would like for us to give the city residents, those who participated, a big hand clap. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to the theater. The MEDC grant, special grant report was submitted yesterday. And we received the initial payment at the last meeting, we received a check for the grant to pay for Whiteman's services. And our treasurer just told us that the check was sent, issued, and they've received it. We are 95% complete in that particular project. And so we're going to be looking for the other 20-some thousand that we need to pay them. Both the expansion study and the theater study itself are coming in under budget. So the expansion should be about $500 under what was bid, and the theater itself is also under, instead of 54,000, it's 52 something, almost 53. So that's all good news. The next portion of the MEDC funds was requested at the time that I submitted the report. So we should be receiving it hopefully soon. Unfortunately, it will go through that same electronic funds transfer process, and we will have to keep an eye out for it so that we can actually get the money to send on and pay the outstanding bills for the project. We do not have a written report yet, but once the written report is done, then we'll either present it or we'll ask them to present it to the board and to the theater committee. It's exciting to get beyond all of this study period to see what we can possibly take on next. So getting near to the end. And I think that's about all we need. Oh, and, part of our input and feedback sessions from the community creatives who are going to be also making use of the theater, we want to get back to them once we have the information as well, so we can work together to build the financial support we need to do the renovations for the theater.
Yeah, this is very exciting. This is very exciting. I didn't know what the game plan was in regards to updating the city and possibly attending a commission meeting, say that we are, working on the State Theater. We're, without giving any additional details beyond it is some activity going on aside from Richard repairs and improv signage and things like that, that we are moving on and moving forward so that we can just give them an update. And then also, too, I wanted to ask that, I know I missed the meeting where we were meeting with the creatives. That was a Ghost Light meeting, right? Wasn't that the space? And so I wasn't able to attend, so if I can be informed or kept informed, because I would like to be a part of that, especially maybe even incorporating like the high schools or different theater, or it can be used by different community members for different reasons, and maybe the drama team or somebody who was ever with the school district, or even some different arts themed individuals can be a part of the conversation.
The school district is actually part of those conversations. So happily, especially the band and vocal music people. I don't believe we've had anyone from their drama group, but certainly anyone is welcome if they're interested in. When we pick a date for this meeting, it'll be in probably in early September, and we can let people know that it's coming up, but it'll be an opportunity for people to talk about the types of productions they want to see and what they anticipate in terms of costs for their productions, but also what we might be able to count on for us to operate the theater building.
Yeah, I was also thinking about like even Andrews, LMC, just because or LMC initially is our go-to for theater or programming. I know like Ardell Clark, which he does drama and different plays. Beyond the Limits is actually the name of his company, but he's hosted a play at LMC. And so just maybe even some people may want to have it in the community. So versus, having to go to colleges and things like that, or maybe they don't have the capacity or need as much space. And so we would be a fit. So just having them evolve and aware, and they may have some kind of funding sources as well to share with us.
You mentioned capacity. We're aiming for 400 seats. It may be somewhere around 450 at most. And then there will be other seating that's possible. It'll be flexible seating in the front of the theater as it's designed so that, yes, we can have VIP experiences, stage side cabaret type of a experience. And so that's part of the planning. So it'll be exciting to see the final drafts of all of the work that's been done. I think everyone will be pleased to see.
So I would like to say great job, though, to you, to Rich and Richard. We have two Richards, but Richard. And then the members that have taken part, I know we've all done some different things. So the cleanup way back when, which I would like to go in if it's not as scary anymore. But everybody that has taken part, because this has been a long process.
Thank you. So on to fundraising. Just an update. At the last meeting I mentioned, I believe, approaching the Tourist Council, who've changed their names, to visit Southwest Michigan for the funding to support the Welcome Center. We requested $4,000. They were able to give us $3,000, and that's reflected in that balance because we had to pay bills. We were told to reapproach them in November for additional funds to help us out with our holidays activities. So also a reminder to ourselves that I&M has pledged $7,000 in a sponsorship for 2025's Holiday Lights, but we have not yet received a check from them. So we'll be checking with them to see when they think they'll be getting that out, so we know for sure what we have to work with. Let's see. We also will need to begin doing soliciting for Holiday Lights. And that takes us to what Linda was talking about. She and I had a brief conversation about Holiday Lights ceremony and celebration and how it would be good for us to get out to our business community, more or less door to door. And we pretty much need to do that in the next few weeks to see what interest there is. We had talked possibly about seeing if we could get an informal meeting together with a number of people who've supported us in the past to kind of run by them what we've been doing and to see if maybe they have some ideas about what they'd like to see if we need to make any changes or if we can make any changes and what support there would be. So we'll be putting a meeting together and getting the word out about that. And Linda will be part of our committee to make this happen. So I think that's everything on our agenda. Oh, and Holiday Lights, the Holiday Lights ceremony will be December 5th. So we'll get the lights turned on and As far as I know, we're still doing the ceremonies as we've done them in the past with the school district. The choir director and I just exchanged some messages. They're still interested and excited. Now we need to have the conversation with the library board to make sure that the library is also on board for hosting. But looks like we'll be moving forward on that.
The only thing I would add to that is if we were to get prospect dates of anything that we would set up, because I'm trying to remember who we signed on where someone is going to be doing a certain portion of the lights. But what would we need to do? And so that way we can get some volunteer, like youth groups or different individuals. I know it's hard to gauge what the weather would be like in Michigan around that time. But so that if we can just give some prospect dates so that kids can be ready to volunteer, especially youth groups. And it can be just prospect dates. And so we can maybe get some commitment from different individuals or groups. So, and I'm willing to, be out to lead or host. Because if we all can't, at least one staff should be there with, or one of the board members should be there with like directions. Even if it's cleanup or, things of that nature too.
Great, thank you. Skipped over the social district. The social district is up and running. I believe the expansion has been passed by the city commission. There are a number of licensees. Soon we'll have 3, I believe. So I hope people will begin to take advantage of that and either check out the Bread Bar or the Mason Jar for a cocktail. And very soon, the Harbor Shores Clubhouse will also have something at the grill. They'll be able to purchase a drink and carry that around either on Harbor Shores grounds or in our social districts that we initially set up. So people will be able to go throughout that area. And I think that's all from us. Any other board member comments you want to make? Any announcements?
Whoop, I have some if you,
Sure.
on the social district, just, let's see, 2, soon 3. Who's the third?
Harbor Shores,
Okay,
the grill.
got it.
Their licensing, but
Okay.
I don't know for sure which of their entities.
With the construction that's going on Colfax and throughout the city, I guess, but in the DDA area or / social district, some of the signage is a little odd. Maybe it's official, which it probably is. There is, some of the social district is, of course, in the State Theater block, which there's no sales in that area right now. And to get there, unless you walk on the north side of the street, it's fairly hazardous on the south side along the construction of Colfax. I don't propose anything exactly there, but there are other perimeter signs on the back side of that block on Wall Street that seem like, if I've got, an odd place to carry a drink. So I don't know if we got any ideas on a temporary signage issue, or they're just alerting the public to the limits.
Right, that's what that's about. And also the limits were set with the idea of economic development, so that people who choose to lease a space and bring a business would be aware of where the boundaries are.
Maybe sorry.
So that's why in some cases you wonder why the signs are there, but it includes Wall Street because there are small storefronts, and we do anticipate something happening with the hotel someday.
Maybe then my concern would go to safety and a safe passage across the Colfax construction project. no matter what, if you're carrying a drink or not. So if we could ask the city to cooperate, or Avonmarsh, or whoever plans those projects, to consider that. Other safety topics are the Main Street city streetlights have been out since Saturday from Midtown being Wolf's area, like 10th, I think, to the river, dark since Saturday, including last night. The city is aware, and hopefully that'll be able to be resolved soon. It's quite dark, and including the roundabouts, which have been issues in the past as far as visibility goes. So hopefully that can be resolved. I understand there was a meeting with MDOT about the roundabout at 5th yesterday. I don't know any details on that. I noticed there's a mess there that's left over from some project related to sewer system that's long past, so hopefully that gets cleaned up soon. There are barrels along the Dial-A-Ride side of that roundabout that I can't see any logical reason that they're there. They're kind of eyesores. And if there's no good reason to have them there, I would promote them being removed. And the beautification topic, besides Iris and the mystery people that did Wall and 6th, the Clement Company has adopted much of the Arts District. They own many buildings in the Arts District, so that's certainly part of their motivation. But in general, in speaking with them, they really want our city to improve for their reasons and our reasons. They're genuine, I believe. There are a few places that are kind of islands in that effort. Why they're not done, I mean, we need to encourage, as the DDA, our local businesses to understand their responsibilities, which go to the backside of the curb. And so that's something that we continue to work on.
Construction is the company that he's referring to, and they recently purchased a number of buildings that they are rehabilitating. When it comes, if you're talking about the holiday, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they're open to the idea if we have a project that, I mean, certainly we can ask.
No, the only reason I say that is because when I think about the different individuals that Rona Rice reached out to for like the holiday party, you know, it was a lot of support. I don't know if she's doing it again just because, but I mean, like the individuals we use for construction donated. I was actually in the office when he brought like whatever he brought, but they had a lot of between like financial or gift cards or, you know, just assortment of support in different ways to have a really nice holiday party. Just this could be something for the DDA in regards to, like I said, beautifying the town or the area, to supporting the DDA, which is an extension of the city. So,
Sure, we're in contact with them pretty regularly about the projects they're doing. But I would also say that Clement Construction is spending thousands of dollars a week on city property, taking care of properties that other people are not taking care of. So they're already doing a really big lift in terms of taking care of the streetscape in the Arts District, and that's what Richard's referring to, and also Thayer Park. So, you know, they've really stepped up to pitch in and help us out in that way. So while I'm sure they would be interested in talking with us, I just think it's really important to recognize that they're already very, very much supporting the city, and they probably also gave something to that party.
was
Yeah.
thinking about the individuals being that if she doesn't, reach out and they were anticipating doing something, maybe we can fill that void of their give back is all I was actually referencing. So, and that would be great for newsletter or different things promotion wise to acknowledge people that are doing things in the DDA. So having all of that up to date or just being able to do even maybe some kind of sponsorship or things of that nature. And again, I know we've already talked about what the exchange process will look like, but again, for those that are involved or, do some kind of donation and of that sort, that we can have some kind of acknowledgement for them.
I agree. That may be something actually that we would ask to be placed on the city's Facebook page in particular, because this is a donation to the city of labor and expense. So I think we'll see what we can do about that. I agree with you. Any other comments?
I just, go ahead if you. I just want to add one more plea about the drinking fountain in City Center. A third of the contents of the trash bins are plastic bottles, water bottles, and if that fountain could be made functional, I think that would be a benefit in many, many ways. The other is the date on the agenda for this meeting refers to the next meeting. It's August 20th.